All right, we'll knock out another one of these today. Talking a lot about and getting into lately state control, state management, managing your emotional and mental state. You know, it occurred to me probably over the last 6 weeks or so how crucial and critical that is, really in just your functioning as a man in general, but particularly in your relationships. Now, what'll happen though is you'll care about a woman's opinions, either because she's pretty and you want to date her, okay, or because you're in a relationship with her and you know you value her input and all that stuff. And I'm not saying don't value her input, and I'm not saying don't listen to her, and I'm not saying don't consider her opinions of general things important. But you have to understand that the way the female brain processes information, it goes emotional first and then logic. So what that means is that, and then if she's in a relationship with you, there's an emotional investment and tie and link then to any opinion she would have of you. So, for example, if, you know, and you see this all the time, okay? You'll see in the relationship, a chick will talk about her man as if he's the biggest, the strongest, the best, you know, all of this stuff, all right? And some of those things might be more or less objective, but a lot of those things aren't objective at all right? And then once the relationship's over, he's the worst, terrible in bed, the weak, you know, he's not that strong, he wasn't that good, like all this stuff. Well, how come it's so wildly different? How come in the relationship, he's, you know, big king swinging dick here with everything going for him, and then the relationship's over, now he's, you know, small dick, terrible dude with nothing going for him. You see what I mean? Like what's going on? Well, what's going on is that the emotions cloud the perceptions, you see. And so then unfortunately as a man, you're going to take her opinions as being valid when it's being clouded by emotions. So, you know, if she's mad at you, or if she doesn't like you, or if there's a breakup, or whatever, you know, you're going to be this terrible person. You're going to be, you know, a lower sexual market value. You're going to be weaker. You're going to be stupid. You're going to be all these things. When, you know, a couple months ago, when things were going good, you were a strong, centered guy with all, you see what I mean? And so, like, unfortunately, you know, and even in the relationship, there's an argument or whatever, and she's mad at you or upset, all of a sudden, her opinions of you, you know what I mean, start to, you're always disorganized, or you're dumb, or you're this or that. Anyway, the point is, it's like, none of those opinions matter because they're crowded, they're not objective. You know what I mean? So, you know, she thinks you're lesser than someone else. Let's say there's a breakup, or she cheats or whatever, and she's going to try to justify how this person that she's cheating with is better than you. Well, he could be, all right, but he also could not be too, right? And a lot of times he isn't. You know, there may be, you know, there could be a number of reasons, you know, she picked this person, but a rebound guy, for example, that's another one, like a breakup and then a rebound, all right? She's going to justify, she's going to present the rebound guy like he is better than you in every single way possible, you know, or at least most ways, you know, but that's not objective. It's not true. I mean, guy could be half your size, and guy could be considerably smaller than you, and she's going to try to justify how he's stronger than you, right? The guy could be, you know, in a average profession, and she's going to justify how he's smarter than you, or as accomplished as you, when you have so many more accolades than that person does. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, and what you have to do as a man is you can't let that shit get into your consciousness as any point of validation. You know what I mean? You used to look to her, which is probably a mistake anyway, even in a healthy relationship where you're happy. Don't look to her as your point of validation. See, if you're relying on her as a point of validation, then when her emotions are going south for you, which will happen, even if you're in a marriage and it's 20 years in and it's the healthiest marriage on the planet, there's going to be times where, you're in disagreement or there's stress, and her opinions are going to go a little bit south of you. You know what I mean? And she may not be toxic now. She voices it, but she'll voice little things, to imply you're less than competent or less than, less than physically capable or less than mentally capable. She will say these little things, and you know what? None of that shit matters. It's not valid. It's not important, because you're you, all right? And your strength and your capabilities come from you. They don't come from her, all right? And so if she wants to perceive, let's say that some dude is better than you because, there's a breakup and she's on this rebound guy, let her, You think he's better? I hope you guys are happy for the rest of your lives. That should be your answer. I hope you guys are happy and healthy and things work out for you, and just smirk and walk away. Why? Because you know what strengths you have and what your weaknesses are. And you should know that you're worth it, when you're worth more than what her opinions of you are during times when things aren't good, or during, after breakups or any of those things. And a lot of times what will happen is you guys will let those opinions cloud your opinion of yourself. This is one of the many reasons why after a breakup, usually, like breakups is just a good example of this, because that's when I'm using the breakup example because that's when you really can see these differences, where a female will go from high opinions of someone to a breakup, and then now it's very low opinions of that person. Like it's like a 180 switch. This person was all of awesome, and now the breakup happens and they're all of a piece of shit, all right, so you can see that's a most extreme example usually of that emotional, how those emotions really play a role, in terms of clouding their perceptions of reality. And so when you see that, it's like you can't rely on any of that stuff, objectively speaking. I know what strengths I have, what weaknesses I have. I know where my value is. And if this person wants to see somebody as more valuable, let her fucking go. All right? That's the best thing you can do, is not give a shit. Because guess what? You're just going to continue to make yourself better, and more. Even if she's just dead wrong. You know how often I see that? Where some chick goes with another dude, or the next boyfriend or the next boyfriend, and she convinces herself, that this guy is all that, and he's not. He's just a average piece of trash. And then later on, after a marriage and after she gets really used to the guy, maybe a couple of years later, she's looking at this guy like, yeah, I just hooked up with an average piece of trash. Meanwhile, their ex goes, and he's doing much bigger, better, greater things. So you need to focus on yourself as a man and making yourself better every single day, not in comparison to anybody else, but better than you were last. And you have value to bring to the table, and that's the most alpha thing you can do, is to focus on your own value, and don't care and don't let the opinions of some woman sway that perception you have of yourself. Granted, it's nice, and not just nice, it's great when a woman you have in your life is being supportive and she's, on your team. Like, that's great. We want that, right? That's a good thing. But you can't take her opinions, though, as objective reality. This is why what happens if you say you're broken up, or she's angry at you, she thinks you're a piece of shit. Well, what are you going to think, that you're a piece of shit too? Do you know what I mean? If she thinks that you're bad at this, or not as smart at that, or not as strong at this thing, or whatever, you're going to take on that opinion of yourself, or are you going to look at it objectively? And I wouldn't even care what she says, but you just look at those things objectively within yourself and make yourself better. You know, fuck her opinions. I mean that. I don't care if you're in a happy marriage and it's 50-year marriage, okay? Honestly, like, fuck her opinions, you know what I mean? And that's the take you have to take. That's the stance you have to take on it. She's either going to be supportive of you and be by your side, or she's not going to be. But her opinions should not make or break who you are as a man. You do that. You make or break who you are as a man based on your own behavior and your own, drive to do better every single day. And so don't let somebody sway you off of that. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. All right? And the stronger you are in your own opinions of yourself, the less emotionally invested you'll be if she's coming at you in an angry, degrading fashion. You know, she comes at you in a way that's angry or degrading, or where she sounds like she's devaluing you. You can handle that with a level of strength that would be the best way of handling it, versus internalizing all that stuff and then, maybe not handling it in the best way and letting those things affect your life in a negative way. And obviously, of course, if someone is toxic and continually coming at you in a way where they're trying to be devaluing, you cut those people out of your life too. But much easier to do that when you're your own source of strength, and therefore the emotional tie that need to prove yourself to that other person or whatever then isn't there. And so you won't stay in a toxic relationship because you're trying to prove yourself to her and try to prove her negative opinions of you wrong. You just laugh at, you just like smile and go whatever. Because if I'm telling you, so many times I've seen women have these opinions of guys that are clearly, objectively not true. It reminds me of like when I was a kid, when every chick thought that their daddy could beat up everybody. Okay? Every female thought their daddy was the strongest and their daddy could beat up everybody. Okay, most of your dad bod dads aren't beating up anything. But, right, emotionally, the daughter, the kid sees the dad as this great big thing, right? Is that objectively true? Of course not. It's the same as in the relationship. You know what I mean? If you're on top, and the relationship's going well, your daddy, you can beat up everybody, If you've broken up, then you're a piece of crap and there's new daddy in town. But none of that stuff is objective and none of it's real. It's just her emotions. All right? So just laugh it off. Don't worry about it and be you. Okay? And focus on your stuff. That's the most alpha thing you can do. And the most attractive thing you can do. Because when you're not swayed by her bullshit, then it's going to cause her to gravitate and also question her own bullshit too. All right, cool. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. You guys take it and apply it to your lives. Hit me up for coaching if you need more help. Like the video on YouTube and subscribe. All right? Subscriptions help me put out more content. Thanks again.